My name is Scott Surovell. I'm running for the Virginia House of Delegates for the 44th District here in Mount Vernon. In 1941, my grandparents moved down here from Buckingham Community with about 19 other families. In a lot of ways, my interest in being involved in my community sort of derived from my grandparents and their activism and what they instilled in my father and what he and my mother instilled in me. People who live here have an incredible quality of life, and I want to maintain that quality of life.
Scott is really a hometown boy right here. And one of my friends had a little coffee for him a couple weeks ago, and Scott went around the room and he'd basically been to high school with the kids of the people who were there, or he actually had some kids there that he'd been to high school with who now live back in the community. He really knows this community over a very long time span.
When we're now at the multiplex, what used to be the multiplex cinemas, you have like a 10-acre property down here that is completely vacant. It's been empty now for about a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, if you had 10 acres of land anywhere else in this county, somebody would have jumped on it a long time ago and turned it into something really nice. The reason that Route 1 is not improved as much as the rest of the county is because we haven't invested in it. You can only imagine if there was a metro station sitting under this property, it would radically transform the value of this property, its utility, its ability to generate jobs overnight. You know, and there's that kind of potential all up and down this corridor here. And, you know, this property, from my point of view, is really emblematic of some of the problems in the Route 1 corridor. Somebody from Mount Vernon ought to have to drive to Pentagon City to go shopping. I don't think we all have to drive to Newington to go shopping. I don't think we ought to have to drive to Tyson's Corner to go shopping. I think that Bob McDonald's transportation proposal to bring private liquor stores here is also exactly not the kind of development we need to bring down here. Route 1, it's not just been the commercial backbone of this community, it's also the transportation backbone of this community. I think that there are better ways to fund transportation in this state, and I think that once people focus on this, once adults focus on this as a Commonwealth problem, people from both sides of the aisle, we're going to come up with some solutions that are a whole lot better than selling off liquor stores and raiding school funds to pay for roads.
I think the first thing that's going to make Scott a very effective delegate is his tremendous work ethic. He is a tireless worker, and that is absolutely critical in Richmond. Scott's the guy who was born within a few miles of Fort Hunt Road and has really never left. He can talk about what it's like to grow up here, what our needs are.
I intend to be one of the staunchest advocates, one of the staunchest defenders of public education in the Commonwealth. We have some of the best schools in the county here in Mount Vernon. We also have some schools along the Route 1 corridor which need some help. And what a lot of it comes down to is funding from the state, where the state has just really let us down. Every one of our elementary schools in Mount Vernon has a trailer, at least one. I still think in one of the richest counties in the United States, we ought to be able to construct educational facilities for our children. And I know a lot of parents have concerns about their children going to school in those kinds of structures.
Scott is a person who has boundless energy, but he has an incredible ability, one, to do an awful lot of things within a limited period of time and be most effective in terms of what he's doing.
The General Assembly has let down the residents of Mount Vernon, Fairfax County, Northern Virginia now for about, if not the last 20 or 30 years, but for a long time. And that's not to say that our local representatives haven't been trying to do something about it. The problem has been political obstruction in Richmond. We send about $5 billion of income taxes and sales taxes to Richmond every year. We get $1 billion of that back. This part of the state has always been the goose that lays the golden egg, and the rest of the state has always taken advantage of us. Changing these things is going to require leadership. It's going to require people that can work across party lines, that can work across regional lines. It's going to require people that can sit down with people and solve problems. That's something I do when I practice law every day. My first job is to try and solve their problem as quickly and efficiently as possible. If we can't do that, then I go to war. And that's what I intend to do when I go to the General Assembly. I intend to try and work with the other side to try and solve these problems If people don't want to solve their problems, then I intend to go fight, because that's how I intend to get our fair share of Northern Virginia. That's what you have to do. That's what people will be electing me to do.